Pittsburgh Steelers have said it themselves that at some point you have to make change so that you could get your mojo back. Well, I think the easiest way to go about that is to stop trying to make it about Kenny Pickett, stop trying to make it about all of these wide receivers and Matt Canada, and simply make your offense about the best player that is on the field when your offense is on the field. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackmine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers offense and the most glaring, obvious change that they can make to give themselves a spark that has been there all season long, that has been more than obvious, and one that I think they are starting to acknowledge themselves, and that is the running game. At some point, you have to take the offense out of Kenny Pickett's hands. At no point during the start or the finish, unless need be, should your quarterback be the focal point of a group that has struggled. Why? Because your offensive play caller cannot call plays that are successful passes, and your quarterback right now has the yips and doesn't know what he's doing and is making bad passes and has terrible accuracy and just looks way too rattled back there. Isn't a guy who is going to win you ball games. And you do want him to get out of that funk. You want to see what you have in Kenny Pickett. He's a first-round selection. I understand all of it. But at the same time, this team is built to win right now. The defense is built to win right now. The head coach is built to win right now. The wide receivers are built to win right now. And all offseason long, you built a team for one purpose, and that purpose was ground and pound football. You didn't go get Isaac Seumalo because you needed better pass protection. You didn't go and draft Broderick Jones because you needed better pass protection. You went out and you built an offensive line around the purpose of running the football. You said all offseason, even if you didn't showcase it, that running the football was going to be your identity. And then you continuously said, at the end of last season, that was the reason that we were as good as we were. That's how we were able to turn things around because of the running game. And that is how we will find our identity this season. Our identity will be on the ground. Matt Canada said it way back in the spring because we came on here and talked about how it kind of felt like he was forced into that comment. Like he doesn't want to be the offensive coordinator that runs the football all the time, but he has to be because that's what Mike Tomlin and Art Rooney want him to be. Well, 2 games in, the offense's identity is nowhere to be found. Everybody's freaking out about it, the offense included. They want it to be Kenny Pickett in the passing game, but that's not working. And Najee Harris is still the guy who has all the same issues that he had last season. He's got no explosiveness. He's a short yardage runner. He's not going to blow up a running game for 30 yards. Even when he is open, he's got 10, 15 yards in a max before somebody's going to catch him or he's got to run out of bounds. He's just a guy that, he's reliable, but he's not Nick Chubb. He's not Derrick Henry. He's not Jonathan Taylor or whoever else you could come up with. He's Najee Harris, and he's going to get you a couple of yards, and he's going to do what he does best, and that's exactly it. But they have another option. That option is Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren is a guy who adds a spark every time he's on the football field. And if you want to fix this offense, you lean on Jaylen Warren. And I'm not the only one that thinks this. Both Mike Tomlin and Kenny Pickett have acknowledged that Jaylen Warren is a spark within this team and within this group. And both of them have said that he's going to get the ball more and that he should get the ball more. And it's just a matter of how quickly are you willing to give in that he's probably the way that you turn this around.
He's just making plays when given the opportunity, and I think that's a reasonable expectation. Here's a guy that did similar things as a young guy a year ago and as a rookie and has done some really good things in the team development process. And so it's probably a natural maturation process for it to transpire in stadium, and it's probably a natural maturation process for us to give him more opportunities for it to transpire in stadium.
Consistently, 30 shows up making plays. He's a guy that needs to get the football, run, pass, whatever it may be. He continually pops and makes those explosive plays for us. So we got to, continue to focus on getting him the football as well.
Running the football, we've seen from Jaylen Warren, and we've seen the success. I mean, the 62-yard burst in the preseason was awesome, but as we've learned very quickly, you can't take anything away from the preseason and say, oh, well, that's going to translate into a 17-game regular season, because it just doesn't. But what we have also seen in the regular season is Jaylen Warren being a guy who can do everything and who gets you the yardage that you need in crucial moments. There were more than once, especially on third down, where Jaylen Warren would catch a football and have 3 yards before somebody caught him, but really end up with 10 yards or 12 yards or 15 yards because he just constantly fought and fell forward. He was constantly moving and manipulating his body through defenders. He's a guy that he's going to fight for extra yardage. He's going to get you 10 when you only had 4. That's somebody that right now, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, that is your most obvious choice to lean on to turn this around. It doesn't matter where he was drafted. It doesn't matter if Najee Harris is on the roster. It doesn't matter if you want to get Kenny Pickett going or if Matt Canada wants to fight as hard as possible to make this a passing offense. Jaylen Warren, if you are a team that is struggling, is your answer. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are struggling. Let's just lay it out very simply. Kenny Pickett right now can't do much of anything. Matt Canada is not helping him. The offensive line has struggled to protect, but has also struggled in the running game. George Pickens is really your only superstar wide receiver on the football field right now, and until Pat Freiermuth gets any amount of targets, you can't rely on anybody else. Why? Because they're not written into the game plan. And there are even rumors floating out there that the Pittsburgh Steelers don't want George Pickens in the game plan. But when this is all happening, when you accumulate all of this, you want to know what the easiest solution is? To find the guy who is going to make electric plays as often as possible. Who are those guys? You have 2 of them on offense. George Pickens is one of them, and the Pittsburgh Steelers utilized that in week 2 against the Browns. Jaylen Warren is the other. The difference, you don't have to rely on Kenny Pickett to get Jaylen Warren the football. And even when you do, it's a dump off. And that is the easiest pass in the world. That's a pass everybody knows how to make. That's a pass Kenny Pickett can make time and time again without any worry that he's not going to be able to make it. George Pickens is your other. And like I said, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they know how to find him deep. Kenny Pickett sometimes hits him, sometimes he doesn't, but that's where the risk comes in. You give it to a running back, you let that running back add to your offense, build an offense around that running back, see how quickly things turn around. Jaylen Warren should 100% be the focal point of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, at least until they get their feet moving and everything gets sorted out. But right now, it is as obvious as it gets that the Pittsburgh Steelers just need anything that gets momentum going. And Jaylen Warren is one of maybe 2 pieces that get momentum going, and he's the easiest option and the most secure option to keep that momentum moving forward. Give the football to Jaylen Warren. If the Pittsburgh Steelers offense really wants to turn things around and isn't focused about where guys were drafted and whether or not status plays a role here, I mean, Mike Tomlin says it all the time. It doesn't matter how you got here unless you're Najee Harris. Then it matters. If they ignore that, if they can finally move past that, they'll realize really quickly Jaylen Warren is the way you turn this around.